Hi everyone. I just wanted to take a few minutes in this video and talk about project number one and explain kind of what the project is and hopefully what the result is. Now I expect in this project as well as all other projects that you have several questions, and I hope that as those questions arise you'll think about them and reach out to me through email or through a phone call to be able to resolve those questions. But let me just tell you what you see in front of you right now. This is a map produced by the Utah Geological Survey. It's a recharge and discharge areas for Sanpete Valley. Okay, and so you can see really like four shaded colors on this map. There's a dark green that you see right in this region, okay, and dominates most of the map. There's a lighter green color. Each of these represent primary recharge areas. The dark green and the light green recharge into different aquifers, okay, unique aquifers. And then finally, the yellow also represents recharge into a secondary area. The pink area represents discharge areas, okay? So you have kind of, if you want to think, four different polygons or four different layers. Well, that's what we want to get to eventually. Now, this is a map that's just available online, okay? It's not in any digital form outside of it being a PDF, but we don't have any information to tie this to location, okay? Which is what you and I want to accomplish in this first project, is first to recreate this and digitize the map. We want to have shape files, in essence, or layers, okay, feature classes, however, whatever method, that represent each category that you see here on the map. So where these are recharge and discharge areas, you can think that has quite a bit to do with our water supply. The next thing I'd like you to do with this project is we want to figure out in over a 6-year period how much water through precipitation falls onto each one of these areas. Okay, so how much water in terms of volume, how many inches of water fall on these primary recharge polygons that go into consolidated rock? How much water in the 6-year period falls onto a primary recharge of an unconsolidated valley fill? And likewise with the secondary and with the discharge areas. Now, we're going to pretend, well, not pretend, we're going to compute how much water we can predict is entering the groundwater system in this Sanpete Valley. Okay, now where are we going to get the precipitation information? How do we know how much water to say has fallen on this area that represents the Sanpete Valley? We're going to use several rain gauges that are positioned in the mountains to the east as well as to the west. Rain gauges from areas as far north as Spanish Fork, as far south as Richfield. We want to use rain gauges that are not only in this area but also outside of this area. And we want to collect information about how much rain has fallen within that region. What that'll allow you to do is have points located on a map with each point having data about the amount of water that's fallen. Now, how does that help you know how much water has fallen here if there's not a rain gauge at that specific point, or here, or somewhere else on this map? Because you're only probably going to have maybe 10, 12 rain gauges that are registered with the USGS to be able to use. So what we're going to do is something called interpolation, and we're going to interpolate from these points a raster grid, okay? A raster that tells us, because maybe there's a lot of rainfall up here and there's a little bit of rainfall over here, so maybe over here there was 10 inches in a year and over here there was 20 inches in a year. That interpolation method will say, hey, in the middle there's probably 15 inches, halfway between each of these gauges. And closer to Fairview, probably 17 inches. And closer to up in the mountains, 19, until you're back to the 20 inches that was recorded over here. So we want to create a raster grid that gives us those values. Finally, we will cut out those values with each of these areas, okay, that you will digitize. And using those cutouts, compute an actual volume of water, of how much water has fallen on this area. That's what we want to get to. Now, like I mentioned, we would like to have 6 years of information, okay, not just 1 year, and we want to have, if possible, 6 consecutive years. So a few tasks that you will want to start thinking about. First off, getting this image brought into a map and digitized, okay? I think you have digitized in the past. I have some digitizing information that's part of this class as well as the 1820 class that you're welcome to look through and help you prepare for this. The next thing you'll want to do is gather data related to rain gauges. And I've posted a link to our Canvas page that gives you where to find rain gauge information. I would recommend that you create a spreadsheet, and inside that spreadsheet record with each rain gauge a name for the rain gauge, a latitude, a longitude, and then the amount of precipitation in a year, and have a column in that spreadsheet be one given year, the next column the following year, the next column the following year. So for example, if I was to bring this spreadsheet over for you to see onto the screen, then I would probably start with a name of the station. Maybe there's some identifier with that station. Its latitude, longitude. That'll help us generate point type data, okay? Points that we can add to our map. And then I would do columns for each year. So maybe 1996, 1997, 1998, 1999, 2000, and finally 2001. Okay, so there's 6 years. And from those rain gauges, I would fill in data that you can find from the USGS page that I'll show you, and then fill in the total precip that fell in each of those years. Now, as you go to the USGS page, you'll find that not every station has data every year. And so you'll need to find stations that only have data for the 6 years that you care about, and you'll want to include those. Fill in that spreadsheet. That spreadsheet is going to become your attribute table to the new data set that you create. And then you'll use that data set to help you create this interpolation raster. Now, like I mentioned, I have information about interpolation tools inside of our Esri software, our ArcGIS desktop, that you can read up on and then execute. And then you'll use some other tools to be able to assign values to each of these areas and sum up using extract by mass, cut out your raster, and sum up the amount of precipitation that's fallen over each one of these different areas. I'd like you to bring all of this information together into a brief report. That report should highlight what was accomplished, what we were trying to do, what you understood of what you were asked to do. It should highlight how much precipitation has fallen on these recharge areas as well as the discharge area to help give some sort of number to how much water is entering the aquifer. The next thing that you'll find on Canvas that I just want to point out to you to help you again get started with this, I have a little spreadsheet that's an example of a workflow document to just highlight and plan out the steps that need to be taken to complete this task and how you might do it. I'd like to ask you to fill out that workflow document. It's a way to kind of plan your time and to prepare yourself to create this project. Along with your report, please submit a workflow document, okay, after the project has been completed. Not only that shows the plan, so how many hours you've planned for each task, but also how many hours it actually took. And finally, don't forget to include with your report maps. Okay, generate maps and submit those maps. I would recommend maps, a map for each year, okay, that you do. So you should have at least 6 maps, okay, that highlight the precipitation, and I would probably show your interpolation raster on those maps. Again, this is brief, okay, a brief overview of this first project. Please reach out to me with questions so that we can talk about it and that I can help you bring this project about. And please carefully look through the information that's posted to Canvas as you work on this. I'm excited for this class. I like that we do projects, okay, and stuff that's going to stretch your skills and fill your portfolio with things that you've accomplished. So thank you for your time and for working with us, and we'll talk with you soon. Thank you. Bye.